Hey guys, what's going on? Mike here with Axion, another Monday with Mike. And we'll kind of let some people get into the group. We had a really good Monday last week. There was a ton of people in here and it was fantastic. Everyone was asking questions, getting involved in the chat, which I love. And we'll see how it goes this week. Posted online on Facebook, usually just to remind people. Every week's different though. Sometimes we get a really good following, sometimes we don't. Lots to talk about this week, I'm sure. And we got tax season in full effect. It's been really busy here. I'm just at the home office right now. You can see all the Funko Pops because it's actually 8 p.m. here in North Carolina. So we'll just kind of wait for some guys to get on. We're here every Monday, 8 o'clock East Coast. And here just basically to hop on, answer questions, wait for people to join. And you can shoot your comments down in the bottom corner. And anything you have a question about, I'll try and answer my best of the abilities, or even people in the chat can get involved. So what's up, Andy? So yeah, so had a good weekend this weekend. Just actually went out of town for the night for Valentine's, because I usually don't go out on Valentine's Day. So the wife and I just went up to Raleigh real quick and checked out the food scene up there. Pretty good. Actually headed back to Arizona here in 28 days. So we've got about 28 days to see the K-Swap in the 11th gen. Should be buying the transmission here in a week, I think. I've already got a couple sourced. Couple FK8 ones I've seen, and a couple FL5 ones are already popping up. So it doesn't really matter which one, both work. So if I could find a cheap deal on an Accord one, since I'm going to build the trans anyways, I would maybe buy an Accord one. I actually need to reach out to a couple people with blown transmissions. Maybe they want to sell me one. Because I really just need it right now for a mock-up to show the motor in there, go over the next process. And then the car actually goes out for custom fab work. So that engine will actually be replaced anyways with a built K20 C4. So anyways, if you guys got a question, shoot them in the comments. We'd love to get talking. Hopefully we get a lot in here. I think we had like 20 something people last week at one time, and a lot of people in the comments were talking back and forth, which I love. Everyone getting to know each other in the community. Some of the PRL guys were on here last week. I know Dennis was in here. He didn't really chat, I don't think, or maybe I just didn't know. Maybe I just didn't know the what little handle he had, but did get some emails from them. They are still coming out with 11 gen 1.5 turbo. It's just kind of been pushed off like some other parts have, but it is going to happen. I know a lot of their stuff, if it's been back ordered, it's shipping towards the end of February, early March. So give you guys an update. That's why I also come up on here, try and give some updates on parts. Yep, I'm going to completely change the transmission, probably a PPG 1 through 4. And I haven't even looked into that kind of stuff. I've got pretty much all the parts sitting here for the motor build. And then, yeah, just put this kind of mock OEM motor in there and then build the turbo kit off of it, an intercooler system. And then the car will come out to North Carolina. Yeah, I don't know if I really need the oil cooler because of the drag racing it basically. And it's not going to be street driven, so yeah, we'll see. It's still nice to have. And honestly, like I said, I found more FK8 transmissions than I have Accord 6-speed. So I'm probably just going to get a Type R one, to be honest. Yeah, so hopefully some good stuff coming up. Like I said, got a couple more videos shooting down the line for you guys on the swap. I think I have one or two more on the swap. I posted up. Well, I'm going to be posting up. We got some more parts in for the build to be able to swap the engine in. Basically, the Type R oil pump, Type R windage tray, the rear bracket, which you need to change out, and the Type R oil pan needs to come off the K20C4 because it's different. So, but yeah, so about a month left, and you guys will see the world's first 11th gen. Not like it's a big deal. I mean, the motor pretty much comes in the Type R, but still, it's still going to be cool. And the build that we're actually doing with it is going to be really cool. I haven't really talked about too much what we're up to because I don't want any other companies to kind of copy the build, but yeah, I have 24.5-inch slicks for it on 15s. Yep, I'm running the same set that'll go on the 9th gen, so the BLAC beadlocks. So those are all ready to go. So yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's a rainy day here in North Carolina. It's been raining nonstop all day, and so just been working in the office all day. Mondays are our busiest day, hands down, as far as everything that comes in from the weekend, and then orders have to go out. And but yeah, so if you guys have joined the group and you're watching, just go ahead and comment if you have a question on parts, anything we're doing, stuff with Honda, community, racing, whatever. If you want to know a question about my business, how we got started, anything. That's what the chat's for. I like getting into all the parts and that kind of stuff. Hopefully we'll get some more people coming in. And what's up, Harry? And make sure to give a thumbs up on the video if you guys come in here. We just try to get a couple people in every week to kind of answer what's going on with the industry and parts. And I figure it's a good way to kind of get info out there rather than the nonsense that floats around on the Facebook groups from people that don't really know anything about the industry. So gosh, well, it started in 2009, actually. I didn't even know I wanted to do this. My mom actually kind of recommended it. I had a full-time salary job. I used to be a project manager doing retail shelving for like gas stations and supermarkets. And so pretty much would figure out all the layouts in the supermarket and order everything and CAD drawings and all that kind of stuff. And I found out that I was going to get let go from a job, and really, like, in one afternoon was like, I'm going to start a business, and literally came up with a name. It was a name that I had for like this small friends that used to go racing, and basically got online and bought my domain and started it then, and then didn't really do anything with it because I ended up losing my job. And took probably a couple years till I really started putting in some time. I found out it was a lot harder to get it into selling car parts because a lot of companies want you to have a brick and mortar business or some type of avenue with you're not just working at a mom and dad's house type of thing. And so yeah, it took a couple years. I ended up getting another job with another company, an Italian company, doing the shelving stuff, and started investing the money and working, two jobs basically to try and start making it grow. And it wasn't until I bought our 9th gen Civic is when it really just blew up out of nowhere. I had a 2nd gen TSX, which had the R40 single port head motor in it. Already did a ton of mods to that car. So when the 9th gen came out, it was like, well, here, everyone, here's what we've been doing for like 2 years already with this car. And I mean, we were doing pretty good numbers. Not what I do nowadays. I mean, it's crazy. But I worked pretty much 2 jobs for I would say at least 8 years, and then started doing Axion on its own, and then actually bartended for a while for fun, just to have something to do at nights, meet people, because I was just so immersed in the business all day and I just wanted a release. And I actually got pretty busy with that and had to actually stop bartending, because I was requested on a lot by different businesses to come bartend at their bars. And I just couldn't do the hours of, I didn't really have a day off for about 5 years, because I would work 4 or 5 days bartending at nights, and then I would work Axion the same, and I would work weekends at the bar. So yeah, it pretty much was just nonstop, and it really helped me grow the business because I had a lot of extra funding, obviously, from bartending, so I could just dump it into, modifying cars and doing whatever. So that's kind of how it came about, and I never really expected this to ever have this be a full-time job. I got to tell you, it's definitely, I've owned a business with my dad before. It's definitely scary owning a business. I think, especially when you start getting into having a mortgage and paying for warehousing facilities and employees and starting to add all these things up, and you just don't know what's coming in month to month. I mean, pretty much with us, I mean, the past 5 years has been so consistent every month. I can pretty much figure out within the first 5 days how the month's going to go. And I'm pretty spot on every month, which is great. But there's always that thing in your head where you get one slow day and it's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And, I'm sure that's with a lot of businesses, and there's a lot of stress and worry that comes with running a business that not a lot of people could be fit for, to be quite honest. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but there's a lot of advantages to it as well. I don't technically have a boss telling me what to do. My only bosses are the customer. I can pick and choose my schedule. So, if I want to run somewhere during the day real quick, I can go take care of something that maybe if I was at a job, I couldn't. But at the same time, I'm up working till 10, 11 at night. So sometimes, so it just depends. I get to travel. Traveling is one of my favorite things to do. A couple of you follow me on my personal Instagram, so you see that I try to travel quite a few times a year. Luckily, I can still conduct my business while I'm traveling, and I have a support crew of employees that work kind of part-time and full-time that help me do stuff. And yeah, it works out great. So at this point, though, like, the hardest thing is, like, if I ever had to go back to a full-time job, I don't think I could ever do it, because I've typically worked on my own. Even when I worked for companies, I worked at home, and then I would just be home office and then job sites all day. And then with Axion, you have your own schedule, you have your own shop and warehouse, and you do your own thing, So that's how I got started. So yeah, it's been a fun ride. This year is now 15 years since I started Axion. We really didn't get busy till 2012. I mean, that was really the first, like, growing years where, like, I was like, whoa, we're actually doing legit sales. But yeah, no, it's been fantastic. I couldn't ask for anything else, and I get to do literally a hobby business that's fun for the most part, and play with cars. There are some frustrating parts too. I mean, when you're out with your wife and you get a credit card claim that comes in, or you get stolen credit card, or you get someone wanting a refund, or those things can interrupt fun nights out, or when you're on your weekends. But that's part of just the business of owning your own business. So I try to to respond to everyone as fast as I can, because I know there's people are wondering where their parts are or their order. If an hour goes by where they don't get a response, they start freaking out, and then it just steamrolls. And so I always try to at least get a response to let them know, like, hey, like, we know you're there, like, we'll take care of it. So, but yeah, that's it pretty much in a nutshell. So I hope that's some good information for you. I see a lot of people out there trying to start a business, and I don't think they realize, number one, the discounts that you get aren't what people think. I get a lot of people that are like, hey, can you do 50% off? We don't even get anywhere near that. I mean, if we got 50% off, I'd be a millionaire. Yeah, it's not what you think. You have to do a lot of volume to make decent money in this business. So, yeah, but it's fun. All right. Anything else going on? I'm trying to think. Still trying to, it's kind of a pain actually setting up the business here in North Carolina. I'll kind of go into that a little bit. It's a very strict state as far as procedures on how to do everything. And they want you to have your driver's license first before you can literally do anything. So, and before you can do that, you then have to have like all this paperwork of information to even show you live here, which takes a while because buying the house, we had to wait for, the electric bill and all these things to prove that we actually live here. So it's a little bit, but we're getting there with stuff. It's been kind of hard because I'm not set up in North Carolina yet, which we will be, I think, next week. I can't have like certain parts shipped to our warehouse here because the companies will charge me tax, because I don't have my tax resale license set up here. So it's been tough kind of going from Arizona and North Carolina because we still have warehousing there that I'm slowly depleting, because I didn't want to pay all this money to move everything across the country. So we're slowly going through all our stock that we have in Arizona, but we're also adding stock here. So it's definitely a lot of work. But yeah, I try to, I guess from when I did my project managing stuff, some of my accounts were extremely difficult. And I think that really taught me conducting business in consumer relations and email and staying on top of everything. It really kind of got me trained to just give the type of service that we give, because I know it's very lacking in a lot of companies is, getting back to people in efficient, timely manner. I used to have an account that was just, when you work in construction, it's a whole different thing if anyone's on here that does. And we had a drill instructor from the Marines that had left the Marines, and he was a construction superintendent, and he would go through the checklist of everything that was done. He was just brutal. And I mean, if he didn't like things that were going on or certain customers just let him down, like he would do 4 a.m. conference calls on Saturday mornings just to fuck with people. Like it was horrible. But yeah, thanks. I'm trying. I know a couple customers probably don't think it is. Sometimes it's very hard canceling orders with companies and getting, a lot of people don't understand. We don't touch every single part. It just depends where it's going in the country, how heavy it is, logistically wise. Does it make sense for me to ship it? Does it make sense for, another company to ship? So sometimes when orders get placed with other companies, they are a nightmare to get a hold of and cancel things. So that's why we have it in our policies. Like, look, some orders can be canceled, but we can try. And I try to let people know that. And the other thing that a lot of people don't understand is during COVID, e-commerce went through a lot of changes because it really became the center of, buying stuff over retail box stores. And now you actually have a lot of refund fees that never used to exist. So like PayPal, like if I want to refund someone because they can't wait, I get charged 5%. Credit cards, 4%. So, a lot of people don't understand like Affirm. Affirm basically, we do a zero interest agreement when you guys use Affirm on our website. But what you don't understand is that we have to pay almost 9% to Affirm just to do the loan. So we eat a ton of money on Affirm orders. It's like the worst. But when you're competing against these big companies that use it, you just have to do it, But yeah, we're trying. Really excited. We're actually going to be building a warehouse type shop here in North Carolina over the next year. So we just have like some small warehousing right now that we're doing as we kind of move the business over from Arizona, and I have to get out of my lease of the warehouse that we have there, where we store a lot of stuff. And so I'm slowly getting rid of the stock there and then waiting for the lease to run out there. So yeah, but we've started getting a lot of parts in here. Like I said, some I can't yet because it's not set up properly here in North Carolina, and the companies want to charge us tax. So I've got to wait till we get a resale license. So, but yeah, all the orders are going pretty much like normal. Yeah. What gen do you feel is underrated, and which one do you feel gets overrated? God, I don't know, man. I mean, I think the most underrated one is honestly the 9th gen Civic Si. You can get pretty good deals on them. It's a K24. They deal okay with NA mods, but you spend, I would say 6,000-7,000 on that car turbo. You've got a almost 500 horsepower, 300 torque, as long as the rods don't go flying. I think the most overrated one, I don't know. They're all really cool. I mean, I feel like the biggest letdown, was the EP3 hatchback. That to me should have never come here as an SI, and they should have brought a Type R. I would say that's the biggest letdown. Yeah, I think the 9th gen is the most underrated. I mean, the fact is, you can do the 8th gen SI head swap on there. All the K series internals work. You can make 1,200 horsepower. It just got a bad rap because it was the first motor that was the single exhaust port. Everyone thought it was trash because everyone just loved the older K series. I mean, it's trash for all motor unless you swap the head, but it's a great turbo motor. You're pretty much max on those going to make about 900 wheel is the max, and that's still really tough on those. But if you swap the head, build the bottom end, I think it's the most underrated one. I love our 4-door. The fact that the 2012 like literally is one of the rarest SIs out there because they only made it for 1 year. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Tucson stuff we can still do. I still ship a ton of stuff out of Arizona. So, yep, most Arizona stuff is most 1 to 2 days for us. The nice thing right now is because we have a West Coast and a East Coast facilities now, I can get stuff pretty much standard 1 to 3 days. So that really helps on a lot of these orders. So yeah. Let me see. I have one question, Mike. No certain people saying the SI is slow in power, but the SI makes more power than your old school GSR and your old school SI motor. The reason you prefer it is because of torque. If you really look at the torque numbers on the old Hondas, there just wasn't any. They were revving machines that wanted to stay over 6,000 RPM compared to stuff now. It's just a more broader, useful power band. And that's where the 9th gen SI kind of took place. Because you look at the 8th gen, I mean, there's just no torque in those cars for that heavy of a car. But yeah, they would rev for days. Most 9th gens probably are abused. I think the 10th gen will age pretty badly. I still like the looks of them. I think I like the two-door 10th gen. I think those are going to stay in value because it was the last two-door year. The 11 gens just have a really classy styling, in my opinion, and I think they're going to look good for a long time. But yeah, a lot of people don't understand, like Andy just said, it's power to weight ratio. The older cars typically were about 23 to 2,500 pounds. Now we're getting up to 28 to 3,200 pounds. So yeah, that's why I still love the GK5 Honda Fit, because you're getting a newer Honda, but it only weighs 2,500 pounds. So. Yeah, so if you guys have joined, I see quite a few people are starting to pop in the group. Just ask a question in the comments if you want to know about parts, industry, questions, back orders, anything. Just shoot a question. We can all answer. We're all in here to learn. And I see a lot of people that are back in here that were in here last week, so it's even cooler. Trying to think of any new stuff that's coming out for the market. I think the only companies that I know, RV6 are bringing out a couple things that I've heard. And Acuity, we're waiting for their FL5 intake and their 11th gen shifter, hopefully. I've got the Acuity swag on here. And then PRL have a shitload of stuff that they're coming up with. A lot of chassis bracing items, PRL brakes, PRL wheels. I don't know what's coming to market, what's not. We'll see, but there's a lot of stuff from PRL. They're just getting all their little issues kind of, because they've kind of transitioned the company a little bit, and they're getting a lot of stuff smoothed out. And so you're going to see some cool things from them this year. Yeah, the GTIs are really cool. I mean, the transmission in the GTIs is phenomenal. I loved it in my Audi. Nothing like a DSG transmission. It's probably the best transmission I've ever driven in my life as far as auto goes. So yeah, they're quick cars, especially if you tune them on ethanol. Yeah, I'm just a Honda guy. I can't really, I mean, I love a lot of cars. I've owned a lot of different cars. But I just think when it comes to just the power that Hondas can make and for the money, you can't really beat them. All right. What people don't understand is that newer cars make more torque because of the small turbo. Yep. And the head, really, it's just that head design, and the turbo is just where all that torque comes from. Yeah, they're pretty much just shoot me a message. I can check. Usually those will take 2 days. So I get AWE from like 3 different companies. So different holes. I buy from AWE Direct. I buy from 2 other wholesalers that offer it too. So it gives me a lot more opportunities. Those wholesalers also have places in Texas, Nevada, Kentucky, and Pennsylvania. So it's also, when I'm ordering, I have to figure out, where the exhausts are actually at and what makes sense logistically. So, but yeah, just hit me up. Maybe I can hook you up with a price on it. Since you got to pay all that tax in Arizona. Yeah, that's the one thing. I think the sales tax here, I can't remember, is like 5.6% or something. So, whereas Arizona, I was paying like 10% almost. Yeah, I can't remember like the B series stuff. I think they were close to like 500, but I mean a K series, like, I'm not talking 9th gen K series, but like a RSX or 8th gen. I mean, I've seen 600 wheel horsepower out of those OEM block, even 700, I think, on some RSXs. I mean, some of the numbers might be inflated on that. I mean, I hate dyno numbers when it comes to stuff like that, but average ballpark, The older Ks can definitely get up around 600 wheel. Just they don't have as much torque as like the K24 blocks do. Yeah, I get the questions all the time, like how much horsepower is it okay to push my car? And what a lot of people don't understand is horsepower isn't going to blow your engine. It's the torque that does. And shitty tunes. A lot of Honda parts are interchangeable. We use a fuel system for the 10th gens, custom make a harness, and 11th gen 1.5s, and we use the 2.0 turbo injectors off the Accord. You know, you have the RB6 retro flywheel, which is what E-Man basically originally came up with in 2016. He took the Type R flywheel, modified it, and made a Type R clutch basically work on the 1.5 Civics. So E-Man with NA Performance, he's like a genius when it comes to Honda stuff that he makes work somehow. It's pretty cool. But yeah, most of the K-Series stuff is all interchangeable. I mean, just not every K-Series is identical. You have to be careful. If it has like K20A, most of those are all kind of compatibility-wise work together. And then you'll get into the K20Z, which is the same as kind of the K20As, but there's subtle differences. Then you get in the K24Z, and that's completely different. The internal stuff will work, but then some of the additional stuff needs slightly tweaking. Water housings aren't really the same as the older ones. So, but yeah, a lot of stuff is interchangeable. I mean, if you look at the Accord and 10th gen, 11th gen Civic, all the camber kits are identical. Tow kits are identical. What else? The springs in that are real close. Coilovers are different from the Accord than the Civics, just because it's a heavier car, basically. But a lot of the stuff works. Brakes, pretty much Honda pretty much keep the same brakes since like 2002, or most of the brake kits are all the same. You just have to look at the lug pattern and different offsets and brake sizes. But yep, that's why it's pretty easy to have all these kits around. Yeah, cool. We got quite a few people in the group now. And we usually stay on for like 30 to 40 minutes, typically. It just depends on how the chat's going and how involved people get. I mean, it's hard for me to just ramble on here for 45 minutes. So if people get involved with questions, it's way easier. Yeah, the only thing is the 11th gen Civic, the seat mounts are just a tad off by about half an inch. So you can modify them to work, but they aren't completely built in. But yeah, I know the 10th gen Civic and the Accord are very similar. I really need to get with my game on brake pads and rotors and all that. I don't have a lot of stuff on our website, especially we're growing stuff for the TLX. There isn't a ton of aftermarket for that year, unfortunately, compared to like the 2nd gen TLX, which has a lot of love for it because a lot of the Type R parts work. But I can check most of you just got to look at your rotor size in that basically, and then see what other Hondas from other years are the same size, and pretty much it'll all work because they're just kind of standard brakes. If you I know VTEC Academy test a lot of these cars, racing them. I mean, honestly, depending on the track, I still think the 10th gen and 11th gen would probably beat the 9th and 8th, but it would be real close, honestly. The torque helps out a lot. If you had a real flowing track that didn't need a lot of torque coming out of the corners, the 8th gen would probably take it. Yeah, always here to work. If you see something you need added to the site, like I said, just always email us. I can get my team to add it. I finally got, before I used to do all the website stuff myself. Now I have a team that actually gets all the parts added. So I just tell them what I need added and they spend the time and do it and change all the wording, because most of the wording from most of these companies is horrible. And if you look on our site, we try to get it very informative for people so they know exactly what they're getting. And it's not so confusing with some of the descriptions. Yeah, that's all my Funko Pops. It's just, I like a lot of horror films and then music. I'm over here is like all my vinyl records. But yeah, and then I have a Lego room type thing with my wife. I do Harry Potter stuff and she does all these different Legos. Yes, a lot of companies that are Asian based sometimes have some really off the wall like descriptions. It just doesn't flow properly, and it's just some of the descriptions are as if you're like the last racer on Earth, and you need all this special like info to get you hyped up on parts, and it's just really weird. You kind of don't notice it until you start like looking through this, but some of it is just so long-winded, and like people don't need all this information. They just need to know that it works for their car, basically. But yeah, that's all my Funkos back there. And then you have a Pee-wee over here, Pee-wee Herman doll and an Alf doll. So yeah, I like a lot of 80s and 90s like pop culture stuff. So I have a lot of weird things I like. Love to travel. That's my number one. Almost at 50 countries. So, and music is probably like another huge passion of mine. And so, yep. And of course, cars. But yeah, so yeah, if you've joined the group, shoot us a question in the comments. Love to answer it. I see there's just a few people in here. You're probably getting out because you're bored. But yeah, I got a couple more videos coming. Like I said, we don't have any of our project cars back here, so like the video stuff for the next month is going to be kind of crappy. But yeah, check out the videos we post. There is a lot of information, and I know everyone wants to see a car, in an intersection doing donuts and that, because it's so thrilling and so much information out there. But if you actually listen to some of the videos, we talk over a lot of stuff and try and get some real information out there, not from some of the entertaining people on Facebook. I actually did have a customer. I can't even remember his name. Maybe you know him, Andy. He's an 10th Gen Accord owner, but he just did a credit card claim, ordered a turbo and a whole turbo swap. And we were talking for like weeks and weeks and weeks. And he was getting super impatient because his turbo hadn't showed up. I finally shot him the tracking number because Honda's back ordered. And he gets his turbo and gets his shit and then does a credit card claim for the entire amount. It's just crazy. And if you guys don't know, when someone does a credit card claim, the credit card company takes the money directly out of my account right then and there. And then I have to fight it to get the money back for about 2 months. So really kills people's businesses. But we'll see how that whole thing goes if I win the case, because I submitted all the tracking numbers and that. But if I don't, I'm going to post this information in the group to see who he is, because I have called the police before on people that have done credit card claims, and it's always pretty fun. But I kind of let the situation kind of see where it goes first and let the customer kind of figure out. Yeah, he has a 10th Gen Accord with an FL5 turbo swap. I can't remember his name. I could look it up. I probably won't right now, but you might see it in the groups one of these weeks, depending on how it goes. Yeah, it's funny though, because a lot of the credit card companies side with these kids even when they get the parts, which is just unbelievable to me. So, but I have other ways to to take care of it. But yeah, it's just crazy. I try to, one of the reasons I come on here is I want to open up because a lot of people don't understand what companies go through in this industry. So I kind of want, one of the reasons I wanted to start this is so people can understand like what some of the companies like us have to go through just to conduct business on a daily thing. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Who knows? All right. Well, I think I'm going to start getting off here. Yeah, there's tons of good springs out there. It just depends on which drop. If you're using OEM shocks, do not go anything over 1.5 inch. That's pretty much I see a lot of people running the D2 springs and they get you a nice drop, but your stock shocks don't last very long. So I typically like the Teen springs or iBox, or even the white lines are nice, but they're only about 1 inch drop. It just depends what you want, ride quality, drop. A lot of stuff comes into a lot of these parts based off what you're actually looking for. So, but yeah, we'll be back again next week with another live video. I think I'll be back on here 8 p.m. East Coast, and hopefully more people will actually get involved in the chat. We had quite a few on this week, so that was cool. I won't have one in a month when I'm traveling to Arizona because I'm actually flying during the Mondays with Mike. Maybe we'll do a Tuesday with Mike and I'll be next to the 11th gen or whatever. So maybe we'll do a live video then. I don't know. But anyways, I'm going to get off right now. And thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to do a thumbs up. Check out some of the videos if you have time. Put them on play and leave the room or whatever and let them play the whole video. I don't care. We're almost at, I think we're almost at 9,000 subscribers. So that's pretty cool. So anyways, we'll be back next Monday. So see you all then. Later.